Hi host, Erica here, and I wanted to share with you finally what I have been sort of hinting at in just about every video for the last couple of weeks, and that is my transition back to high raw. About 3 years ago, I lost about 50 pounds, and every health problem I had, including dysmenorrhea, which is really awful cramps, acne, I had borderline high blood pressure, I had lots of problems with my menstrual cycle other than the dysmenorrhea, like short cycles and that kind of thing. I was always tired, I had a lot of bloating, I would get, a mosquito would bite me, or I'd get a cut on my hand and it would take, you know, days for it to heal up or even close up. Everything I got infected. A paper cut would get infected, a mosquito bite would get infected. If my skin was broken, it got infected because my immune system wasn't working the way it should. I had horrible allergies, seasonal allergies, except I had them for every single season. So I get like 3 months supply of prescription allergy medicines, and I even tried allergy shots in order to breathe freely and not itch or scratch or sneeze all day. So I had a lot of stuff that didn't add up to anything if you went to a medical doctor. Like, you can't go in and say, I have all these things, what do they mean? Because the symptoms by themselves, you know, could indicate any number of things or nothing at all. So when I went into my doctor and complained about any of these things, I basically got the, yeah, go home and come back when you have a real problem. They didn't say that exactly, but I got the message that I didn't really have any diagnosable or treatable thing going on. Although these all seemed related to me, I didn't know how they were related. Enter raw food and master cleanses, and suddenly everything changed. I could think clear, my face cleared up, my body slimmed down, I was always in a good mood, I was rarely tired. You know, it was the difference between night and day. It was just absolutely astounding and amazing, and I wanted to shout it from the rooftops. Why, might you ask, would I abandon it then? Because crazy people do crazy things. I don't know what to tell you. When I started, after about 2 years on my journey, I started to realized that I had really strong reactions to certain cooked foods, like gluten. So I went and saw a chiropractic internist to talk to them about some of my food allergies, and he was not at all supportive of the raw food thing, which was the case with most practitioners that I saw. The acupuncturist didn't like it much either. But he recommended that I take an IgG test, and that was really empowering because now I had this printout. They tested my blood for the antibodies of 200 different foods to see which of these foods I personally was producing antibodies for. And it came up with, just like I thought, wheat, gluten. I thought I was lactose intolerant. Even though I was taking mountains of probiotics, it never helped. That's because I'm in fact casein intolerant, which is the protein in milk, which lactate won't help because it still has a milk protein. I also was intolerant of peanuts and yeast, and I tell people I'm allergic to cupcakes because it's like milk, wheat, and yeast. But that also explained why, even though I had plenty of evidence that I was intolerant of gluten, I would have reactions from eating gluten-free foods, and I didn't understand that. But it was mainly because they still contained either casein or they contained yeast. So once I had these test results in my hand, I decided to go back to cooked foods because I thought perhaps my problem wasn't in fact cooked foods, which was kind of been what I thought during the 2 years I was high raw. Maybe it's not cooked foods that's my problem, maybe it's that I have these food intolerances, and if I can avoid them successfully, I can in fact consume cooked foods. Well, I had mixed success with that. I think one of the biggest problems is I do react poorly to cooked foods. I have no idea why. My body functions differently, it behaves differently when the foods are living. In my opinion, live bodies need live food. I think that's what my body was trying to tell me. So I I went down this road of eating these foods that didn't have the things I tested positive for. And I would get accidentally exposed with a high frequency because people wouldn't list things, restaurants didn't know, they would say, no, it doesn't have gluten, and then they cook it in the vat where the others are, which makes perfect sense if you're a restaurant. So I had to eliminate eating at restaurants. And then there are issues with my wheat sensitivity is such that it takes very little to trigger a response. And if, say for example, I had oatmeal, there's no gluten in oatmeal. But when I consumed it, I would have my wheat reaction and not understand why. And that's because it was processed on the same equipment that wheat was processed on. It took that small amount of wheat to trigger a reaction that it's not listed as a product ingredient, but I'm still having a reaction because it was prepared where things I react to were prepared. So that made it the case that I was getting accidentally exposed. I was becoming accidentally exposed to these things over and over and over. And that might have been part of the problem. But I'll tell you what another big part of the problem was for me, and that's I tend to overeat cooked foods. Somehow it set up this cycle where I felt like a carb addict on cooked foods, and that never happens on raw foods. It just doesn't. I have heard of people gaining massive amounts of weight on the raw food diet because they were eating 10 oranges in a day. That does not happen to me. I will eat significantly less and be totally satisfied with no thought at all about food, again for hours, on raw foods. My body is satiated. It feels fed, nourished. I'm good. And that didn't happen on cooked foods. So I'm going back to my raw foods, and the next few videos will probably be about raw foods. Since I was into raw foods for quite a while, and I have all the paraphernalia, the blenders and the dehydrators and the mandolins and spiralizers and all the acai and maca and things that we use to sweeten and add flavor and spice to foods. Since I have all that stuff and I have a big repertoire of meals that I enjoy and my family enjoys, I thought I would share them as I am moving back in that direction, because my whole I'm going to eat cooked food but not things I'm intolerant of experiment has left me with an extra 20 pounds, and I don't appreciate that. I lost 50 pounds 3 years ago when I first went raw, and in 1 year's time eating cooked foods I gained back a little under half of it. Anywho, so I'm really excited about it actually, and I'm excited to share some of my recipes as well. So if you have something in particular that you want to see, I can make lots and lots of raw things. So anyway, that's what I'm doing for the meantime, and I guess I will see you guys really soon, because I'll be posting a video that is currently in editing, which is just a morning juice and what that entails and where I get my stuff and how I keep my veggies. So stay tuned for those. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, so here's just a quick recap of some recipes and some photos. Lifetime sad, 7 months on the raw food diet. The orange skin are catenoids. It's crazy. I had to change all my makeup. It was just bizarre. So on the left is pre-raw, and on the right is, I think I was 2 years in, but I had gained back about 10 pounds from this photo, which is at my lowest weight in the lower right-hand corner, and I felt all spindly and gaunt and weird looking. So I gained a little bit of weight back after that. So here's me along my journey. The first photo on the left is pre-raw, and then January 2009 when I was at my lowest weight. On to the recipes. These are flaxseed crackers with sun-dried tomatoes and olives. It was so good. I had this in the house all the time. A standard breakfast, bananas, pears, and grapes sprinkled with hemp seeds. Tortilla soup. It's got a bunch of tortilla soup type stuff, and on the top those are jicama slices that I used as crackers. It's probably heated to more than 115. That is a raw food pizza with a sun-dried tomato and flaxseed pizza crust. I made all that in the house. Took less than an hour. A sandwich made with the pulp from my juicing, so it's kind of a garden burger. Spaghetti, spiralized zucchini with a marinara sauce. That sauce took forever to make, but it was so good. mock tuna with sprouts and sun-dried tomato flaxseed bread. Again, some flax seeds. I don't remember what all went in there, but it's flax seeds and like vinegar, and I think it was some soy sauce on onions to make onion rings. I was craving Chinese food this day, so that's also zucchini that I kind of mandalized and chopped up and add a little soy sauce and a little oil to make them greasy. Those are potato chips. They look like potato chips. They've been dehydrated. I soaked them. They still tasted like raw potato. Ick. A standard breakfast or a standard day's supply of food for work. It's veggies in a bag, various fruits, some dip, and a green smoothie to kick the day off. Another favorite snack in my house was pico de gallo and queso, which was cashews and red bell pepper. That is cauliflower mashed potatoes, and it was actually good, and it took me a long time to get that to taste like anything at all. Now on to the desserts. This was for Thanksgiving. I made a coconut cream pie. It's got bananas and strawberries on top, and those are goji berry chocolate clusters on the right. This is a crepe filled with I think it's got some vanilla and coconut cream in flaxseed banana crepe. That's a maca chocolate pudding. I loved my desserts. Brownies, those were always a favorite in my house. I fooled even non raw people with these. And then, of course, lots and lots of sundaes. I think for a while I had this like every day. So it's cacao syrup that I made at home, and when I poured it over the ice cream, it hardened into like that magic shell stuff that you used to eat when you were a kid. Did you guys used to eat those? Anyway, I loved that. Topped it with a cherry and it's fantastic. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.